rights are to our assets, the filing of, as you mentioned, the sovereign papers. So I have so many questions. They're just, I can't get them out of my mouth fast enough.
I hear you.
Do you understand where I'm coming from? And I need to get grounded really fast because they put me into trial. I've got my second date of trial. The judge finally recognized my statement. How can you give a forced, what do they call it, where you say evict you, I can't remember the name of it. Huh?
Ejectment or ejection, eviction?
Well, no, there's 3 words. Unlawful detainer action. That's it. Okay, well, they got me on that.
Sasha, you've got so many questions there, and they're not so much what we're talking about on this call, but you do need to visit that Freedom-School site. You want to take a look at Rod Class's school site, rod-class.com. And there are things that you're doing very, very right. And I applaud your efforts so far. There is more to learn, of course, as there always is. But you're talking about UCC1s, I think, and perhaps EFTs, electronic funds transfers. There are a lot of different things that you can do to protect your interests, filing common law liens. So you're doing the right things, but if you'll let us kind of concentrate on our topic of the day, that'd be really great, and we appreciate your call.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Sasha, for calling in.
Oh, I'm so grateful that our rights are being protected again. So, yes, keep plugging away. I'm so grateful, and I will bow out of the conversation, and I will check that site out. Is there any way to get a hold of follow-up on getting involved more on a local level? Because that is where, no matter where I end up,
go to freedomreigns.us and just send us an email with your state, and we will hook you up.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to give my name out again. It's Stacia, and I have 2 states right now, Michigan and Missouri.
Go ahead. Can you go ahead and just email that to us so that we can hook you up with the people in your state?
Wonderful.
Thank you.
That's what I needed. I thank you. God bless.
Great. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay. We are going to take this caller next, and it is William Blair. William, you are open, hon.
Oh, thank you very much. Good afternoon to everyone. I appreciate your calling and certainly your actions. The work that I do is basically as a performance auditor, and I deal with community affairs. And your discussion is certainly to point, and there are 3 phrases that are very important that I want to make sure that I understand are part of this. One is collaborative governance. The next is formal consensus. And the next one is the capstone doctrine. The reason I bring these forward is that in my work I range from the UN interdiction programs down to community affairs. Basically, we go into a dysfunctional community that has been taken over by all of them that have names and identifications. And basically, we use a formal audit system of several components, whether it's lawyers, media, the ICLEI, or the capstone doctrine, which basically is the combination of civil and military affairs. What I am really concerned about is that in many of the discussions out there is that very little is said, if anything, about collaborative governance, which is a secular political ideology. That is the ideology being used by the decision makers, the partners, the stakeholders, the facilitators.
Public-private.
Absolutely, and that goes into, basically we started out, I was going to do a simple little program for $29. That was in 2002, and the material dealt with everything that's happening. So now the report stands at roughly 700 pages and about 35,000 exhibits. That's on one case. That's on intrusions on communities. So what we've been able to do is actually figure out a way to detect problems at community level, whether it's a dysfunction or it is a wrongful behavior. And in the intrusions process, basically it goes categorically to each and everything element that you're talking about. Essentially, let me say this. I'm certainly not worried about anybody disclosing who they are or anything, because it would be naive to think that the fusion centers, that the DARPA system, that TIA, and basically what is known as a full-spectrum dominance is not in force. In other words, to pretend that I'm not mapped and recorded and
on all the list with the rest of us.
Right. So I actually take it as a good prestige. But I want to make sure that I redirected maybe some words about those three phrases, and I welcome anyone who wants to give us case information, because we're basically from the UN level down to local community affairs, and we go in and do what we call deep audits. And we get in and we get at the bad guys. It doesn't matter whether they're bankers or anybody else.
I have a question for you.
Anita, hang on. I'd like to have William send us an email.
Okay.
Because I think he is somebody that we really need to talk to and find out more information from. William, would you please send an email to us at freedommarainesusa@gmail.com?
Sure, I'm going to do one more than that. I'm going to send you the PDF file at 700 pages, and that'll keep everybody busy for a week or two. And then the other one that's going to be announced this week is I've just finished a report on indigenous identity theft. Now, the reason we're really looking at indigenous identity theft is for all of the same reasons that all the ladies and gentlemen are addressing. And this report will go probably out tomorrow in total. In other words, it's going to be made public tomorrow. That is a microcosm of the same concerns. And the reason we took an interest in indigenous affairs is it was the last frontier, the last battlefield for sovereignty. And they're getting hit hard, extremely hard, much harder, say, in a real-time sense than your average community. But they do share, the real people do share the same morality, the same decency that you do.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And I really personally look forward to communicating with you and learning a lot more. So I look forward to your email.
What was your question, Anita?
Yeah, this is just extremely interesting to me, because I dissected this little connector, and I found all kinds of strange things. Someone initiated to justify it. It's like somebody said there's money. Okay, we want this money. Okay? So then they move backwards, and they say, how can we manipulate the information to meet the criteria that's in this grant? And when I followed the trail, some decisions were making, and I think they were made by city employees. Decisions were made to hire a company out of Florida to come up and do an analysis, a traffic analysis, on a road that's not even remotely part of this project. And they didn't even tell the truth to the people in Florida about a high school and anything else. So they spend a huge amount of money when, in my community there are people right here who could have done that study. The only thing I could think of, the people right here in my town who could have done a traffic study would have known about the high school traffic. So what they did is they get an out-of-state firm to come in, and they tell them just to look at this one little road and nothing else. they give them a plan that's outdated. So the report comes back with an outdated city plan. They didn't have the right information. And then they submitted this thing as justification for this project. So is this the kind of thing you're talking about where, they're manipulating documents and they're hiring companies to meet their needs so they can get their project done? Is this kind of what you're talking about?
Yes, you're going to see this on a much very particular and a very complex scale. But the way the audit system works, it breaks it down so you can dissect each one of these things, because when we go in and do a deep field audit, we do it better in a team frame. In other words, there'll be, if necessary, a lawyer, an environmentalist, somebody that understands conversational hypnosis or basically psychops. And with the change in America to the following the capstone doctrine, which is that combination of civil and military, basically the so-called corporate, private, and public partnership was actually corporate to corporate. Now, the benefit in these individuals' minds or their mindsets was that a public servant will take an oath of office, and you can certainly assign a individual liability and a penalty, pains and penalty. But at the level of a corporate person, a veil is thrown up, and that's what's happened in the UN process of interdiction on the stakeholder councils, the watershed councils, because the corporation obviously is treated as a fictitious kind of so-called human being. And the immunity is absolute and qualified. So what we're doing is we break the immunity veils. And usually you can go into particular kinds of doctrines. I prefer to go in on a racketeering or Sherman antitrust or just simply elements of criminality, because the civil doctrines are pretty difficult to pierce through the private contracting with these individuals. Usually they're going to stonewall and hide the information you need to get at. Our experience is that, we go in, usually we take a deep breath, we go in and we look for the dysfunctional aspects of the community. But usually we're going to find somebody has tilted the round table to their advantage.
Okay. Wonderful. And we still have 12 more callers.
Okay, thank you very much for your time, and I'm going to get on that email to you.
Thank you so much for coming forward.
Thank you so much for the information, yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, our next caller is Teri. Teri, you know who you are.
Hello, everybody. Teri, I'm glad I got to hear your voice today. We missed you last night on the call. And Anita, you were awesome last night. I have to say one thing about this group. You got some awesome women in this group that are got more cahooties than most men that I know. So kudos to you guys.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I want to bring out one point about the 14th Amendment that people don't usually talk about. And when you become a 14th Amendment citizen / U.S. citizen, you basically become a slave to the corporation. But on the Section 4 of the 14th Amendment, and the first part of it, it says the validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law includes debts incurred for payment of pensions and bounties for services and suppressing insurrection or rebellion shall not be questioned. So if you're a slave to the corporation, which we have, you can't question the slave owner. But the thing about the 14th Amendment, they passed it by gunpoint, and they ratified it by gunpoint, because what happened is that Lincoln sent out the troops and got them to come back, and they made them sign it by gunpoint, from what I understood and from my studies. And see, a lot of people don't know about this. A lot of people don't know the Constitution, because we've been dumbed down in this country. Our schools are dumbed down. So what my suggestion is each people, whatever state you're in, you need to know the Constitution prior